get away with this. You say
you must.
No, I'm not.
You must.
I
must.
I refuse.
I'm sorry, you must.
There's a different point. You say people wanted to take back control, and now, even to this day, we have tens of thousands of people come into this country illegally on small boats.
But okay, good. Okay,
How is that taking back control?
I'm glad you said that. Okay,
Where's the control?
Breaking right now, the desperate Conservative Party want to bring back Boris Johnson to take on Nigel Farage. This headline in Politico this morning, "Come back, Boris. Routed Tories pine for a winning formula." They say dire local election results leave some Conservatives wondering if their former leader's magic could turn things around. But I'm dubious, to say the least. I was a huge supporter of Boris Johnson. I was desperate for him to get Brexit done. And I also believed that his defenestration was completely anti-democratic. If you are elected as Prime Minister, you should be able to serve out your term. And it was the mainstream media that finished him off, just like they did with Liz Truss, working, of course, with the British deep state and establishment. However, Boris Johnson is not where we're at now. On Nut Zero, on mass immigration, on DEI, on woke. And even the Daily Telegraph, I was really struck that even the Daily Telegraph today had turned on their former columnist, writing, "Mr. Johnson will insist he was hamstrung by the pandemic and its knock-on effects, but almost 1 million net migrants in a year, inflexible green policy and a record tax burden could not have looked less like taking back control, let alone uniting or levelling up. Hence, another change vote 5 years on, with Sir Keir promising a politics that treads more lightly on people's lives." Now, Boris himself has just really laughed off the criticism about the Boris wave, which was absolutely the opposite of what we wanted implemented post-Brexit. So I'll get analysis from my superstar panel, Bernie Spofford and Anne McElhaney, in just one moment. But first, here's Boris himself doing a very poor job of justifying why he did not put an end to mass immigration into the country. In fact, he did quite the opposite. Watch.
I'm going to let you get away with this. You say...
You must.
No, I'm not.
You must.
You must. I refuse.
I'm sorry, you must.
There's a different point. You say people wanted to take back control. And now, even to this day, we have tens of thousands of people come into this country illegally on small boats.
But okay, good. Okay,
How is that taking back control?
I'm glad you said that. Okay,
Where's the control?
So, for Constantine, what you've conceded, which is the most important point, is that we have legal control over the people who seek to apply to come here. Now, I accept that there were exceptional circumstances after COVID which led to what looked like some big numbers, but as I say, there were exceptional reasons for that. Now, because we control the numbers coming in legally, we can offset for that, and so we can get them right down, do whatever we want, have zero, right? Actually, under Keir Starmer, thanks to his brilliant policy of persecuting anybody who's got an ounce of creativity in this country, people are fleeing Britain for the first time since the 1970s.
They are.
I mean, it's a miracle both of you are still here, frankly, given your talent and enterprise.
He's very good. Very.
Bernie, he's got the gift of the gab. There was so much to love about Boris Johnson, and I really did love him for a very long time. And on a personal level, I still think he's a charismatic, really interesting man who was very much let down by the fact he was the wrong leader for the COVID pandemic, just like Donald Trump was. However, Bernie, it's done. It's done. Like, the idea that we can have a nut zero pro-immigration leader back at the head of the Conservatives as some sort of solution to saving the country, I think is for the birds. Absolutely, Kemi Badenoch has to go. She has been a disaster. I've been advocating for some time for Robert Jenrick to become leader of the Conservatives, not because I'll necessarily ever vote for the Conservatives again. I can't imagine doing that, but because I want the Overton window to shift on these issues that matter.
I don't think they can ever shift under the Tories. I just honestly do not believe they can shift under the Tories. Boris was the most fantastic orator. I, like Anne, suffer from deep disappointment very often, and Boris was a huge disappointment to me because he's an incredibly weak man. And they got hold of him. You know, all the policies that we find coming into government pushed down by the UN, Boris said nothing against it. Under him, he doubled down on net zero. We had more migrants under Boris than we had ever had. The lockdowns were a disgrace. Under him, he brought in vaccine passports. So he allowed other people to make him an authoritarian, because I don't think that's his natural home. I think his natural home is, I don't really have much detail, but I'm quite good at making speeches and I like to meet people, which allowed all of those quangos and all of those controlling civil servants within that enormous government of ours, which is just ridiculous. He allowed them to make the decisions for him. And because he doesn't like people to not like him, he did as he was told. The Tories are utterly buried under Boris. No one will vote for that again. I'm not even sure they'll vote for Robert Jenrick, not because he isn't saying the right things, but because he doesn't have the guts within him to fight back against people in his ear all the time telling him what to do. I was interested today about Farage in that he put out a statement saying, absolutely no way our councillors are not having DEI and climate change training. Yet we don't want our councillors indoctrinated day one as soon as they get into post. And I thought that was really interesting because I don't know if you remember, when Boris was elected, we all went, yay. And about a week later, we were all, where's Boris gone?
Yeah, I loved this actually from Nigel Farage. Reform UK councillors are being instructed to take part in DEI and climate change training. Our new elected officials will do no such thing because we believe all people should be treated equally. And I thought that was absolutely the right approach, just like I thought it was the right approach yesterday for its chairman, Zia Youssef, to say you will only be able to fly the Union Jack or the St. George's flag outside council buildings under Reform UK leadership. Now, the problem is, Anne, though, we know desperate people, or shall we say desperate parties, do very desperate things. And look at this polling, which has been pointed out by The Sun today. Their political editor says, one, to liven up Tory hand-wringing this week, 1 in 5 Reform voters would come back to the Conservatives if Boris was leading instead of Kemi or Jenrick. But first, we've been told our whole lives that wrinkle creams were the easiest way to look younger. Now one doctor says that's nothing but old news. According to Dr. John Lake, the world-renowned Beverly Hills beauty expert, most wrinkle fixes on the market are nothing but glorified moisturizers. They hardly make a dent on your appearance. Some can even be harmful to your skin. Recently, Dr. Lake has focused his attention away from mainstream cosmetic practices. Why? Well, so that he can pursue a revolutionary anti-aging breakthrough, one that some experts say could empty the wallets of the cosmetic industry. It's almost like Photoshop for your face. You may even be mad after seeing how easy it is to visibly erase your wrinkles from view, Lake told reporters. His personal clients have dubbed his new do-it-yourself technique the age rewinder method because it can take years or even decades off your appearance in under 2 minutes. In light of this amazing breakthrough, Dr. Lake has released a step-by-step video to the public. It is free, it is uninterrupted, where he outlines exactly how to use this simple solution from home. And he says if this helps even one person look younger or feel more confident, he will be thrilled knowing he helped. The video has since gone viral. At first, it was shared by users on Facebook, but since then, it's racked up over 2.3 million views and counting. So far, the comments and feedback have been outstanding, with thousands of women reporting they look decades younger. One viewer even commented, "Best results of anything I've used. I can't believe how well this works. I'll never stop using this. I don't understand how it works, but the results are great. Thank you." So you can find out much more about this yourself right now. Go to bhmd1.com/outspoken or just click on the link in the description box below. Let me repeat the address though, bhmd1.com/outspoken. Now there is one thing Dr. Lake asks from his viewers. If watching this video helps you look and feel younger than you have in years, then please share this video with your friends and loved ones. Together, we have the power to help as many women reclaim a youthful look as possible. So go watch the video at bhmd1.com/outspoken right now, or just click on the link in the description box below. But now, back to the show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know where they're getting those numbers from. Maybe it's true, but it's the point that I was making earlier, basically, that you don't own these votes. They're loaned out to you, and people are loaned out for a period of time, and they're hoping for the best. But I just can't imagine anyone. I don't see I don't see a future with Boris. Although there's just so few impressive looking people around. I mean, the thing with me and Boris, I have to say, and I'm sure you're sick in the face thinking about the whole COVID thing, but he was a liar. People saw him be a liar. He knew, he wouldn't have had a party and risked his own life if he thought what he was saying was true, right? Like it's basically the same as Gavin Newsom. And so everyone saw him to be a liar, that he lied to people. And I just don't think you get over that. I just don't see how you get over that. I don't see that.
No, I don't either. I don't. I really don't. I mean, this is how Politico reported it from their sort of Westminster bubble point of view. They said a Conservative shadow minister said at the moment things are looking pretty grim. The trouble is Reform correctly identified the problems but failed to identify the solutions. Most thoughtful Conservatives recognise the battle is to reoccupy the post-Brexit ground. But the issue is, and why I think this is going to be so difficult, that at this point, the Conservative Party are not prepared to say, outside of Robert Jenrick and Suella Braverman, we effed up. We got everything wrong. We destroyed the country by supercharging Tony Blair's immigration policies. And actually, when Priti Patel was running for the Conservative Party leadership, she was the first out, because the fact that she was still trying to justify this level of mass immigration that the public have been saying for 6 decades now is destroying our country was somehow right. And that somehow we were all missing the point. And somehow we were all stupid for not realizing that she was just bringing the right people into the country. Watch this.
We talk about immigration because it's such a key touchstone for so many viewers, listeners of GB News. And that's why Reform, their one in, one out policy, which you can discuss that if you want to.
So let me just stop you there. Do your viewers know the context as to why people are coming here?
They see the overall number. They understand about Hong Kong. They understand about Ukraine.
That's great. And so they should. Do they understand that to come to our country to work, you actually have to be sponsored, you pay for your visas, and you actually, a lot of these people are also high rate taxpayers. So that context matters. The other point to make as well, though, the points-based system gives the government of the day the levers.
Yes.
The points-based system came in. It was inevitable with the pandemic that it would take time to stabilise and balance. That has happened. We are seeing figures go down. Those figures I can tell you because it's cyclical as well. They'll go even further down. That's an inevitability.
250,000 or so.
It's an inevitability they will go down. But then we also have to ask ourselves, again, if you don't want so many people coming to work in our country, then there's a wider discussion to be had there. I'm very pro having I'm very pro having a labour market strategy. So, I put that challenge to the government. Put a labour market strategy together. Reform the apprentice levy to ensure that British youngsters are being skilled and trained to work across these sectors where the demand is. We'll also challenge Labour. What are they going to do on people that actually are, right now, accessing in-work benefits and, need to do much more with the welfare system? It's a
With all due respect, you had 14 years to have that conversation, Bernie. I don't care. We don't care anymore about the labour market. Seriously, just stop. It has to stop. It all has to stop. And we have to try and make these 2 million people leave.
But it isn't stopping.
No, there's 1 million a year.
So today, the Labour Party is all very pleased with itself today because it's done the India trade deal. Now, we trade with India regardless, right? But we're going to do this big free trade deal because it gives slightly lower tariffs. And what we've had to give away that nobody in Parliament voted for, it was signed off by royal prerogative. You know how much I hate that system. What we've done is we've given Indian companies tax breaks to employ Indian people in Britain. I mean, we've literally done that. So, and the government says, oh, it's only a limited number of visas. No problem.
Well, 100%, Bernie, because look at this. Sorry to interrupt, Bernie. I'll let you come back. But look at this from James McMurdoch, the Reform UK MP, who says, absolutely shocking, Starmer's deal with India means Indian workers won't pay any national insurance, making them cheaper to hire than British workers. He's just rigged the job market against the British. I simply cannot believe what I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's exactly what they've done. Now, what Labour will say is it's only a limited number of visas. But what I'm saying is it doesn't matter. Whilst we've got people sat on benefits who could work, get off their arses and go and work. And don't tell me that the Indian people that we're bringing over are more qualified. No, they're not. We've got people coming out of universities armed with degrees that they're never going to be able to pay for because it's cheaper to hire an Indian worker now than it is to hire a British worker. So it isn't changing. No party is getting the message. We do have 2 million people here. We are never going to be able to remove them. We can't identify them. They won't tell us what country they come from. Our legal system will stop us deporting any of them. If you look at the figures today, it's all breaking everywhere, obviously on the grooming gangs, but we have not deported a single grooming gang convicted rapist since 2011.
It's truly astonishing. It is truly astonishing. And the fact they are trying to sell this trade deal today as good news, I think, says it all. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.